Joining BYU Sports Nation now on the Deseret First Credit Union Hotline, the man who will call the game tonight for ESPN on the mothership, Adam Amin. Adam, welcome to BYU Sports Nation.
This is a tremendous disappointment because I really, really wish I was there with you guys live because I did bring it up online to see what it looked like, and it looks awesome. And I wish I was sitting there with you guys, but we're right up against our production meeting. Otherwise, I'd be sitting there next to you guys and enjoying the scenery.
You got to do what you got to do, and we appreciate you coming on. Adam, a couple of years ago, you called the NCAA Volleyball Championships, so we had a chance to speak. You called that BYU match. Unfortunately, they lost. I think you'll bring better luck this time around. Maybe the BYUs. We'll see, although you are a neutral observer.
I like to think home field advantage may play a factor for you guys. We'll see. We'll see what goes down tonight.
Adam, how much do you know about Provo, Utah?
My first live ESPN game I ever called was in Provo, Utah. It was BYU against San Jose State back in 2011. It was my first year at ESPN. The classic game. And this was on the heels, I believe, of Riley Nelson leading the comeback against Utah State on a Friday night game. So we got to come into town fresh off the heels of that. The kind of back and forth between Jay Keeps and Riley Nelson. So I called that game. I think it was the New Mexico State game later that season. And then I went on the road and saw BYU beat Tulsa in the Armed Forces Bowl in one of the most exciting finishes still in my career to date. The Riley Nelson fake spike, finding Cody Hoffman on the pylon. I had that game on ESPN radio. So all the memories are starting to flood back. And of course, I look outside my window and I see the Wasatch Mountains and I see LaVell Edwards Stadium. So it's a pretty nostalgic place for me personally because I really got a chance to do my first big live game on ESPN here.
Very cool. And tonight's game is at 8 Eastern on ESPN. You can watch that as well tonight. It's fun because as a play-by-play, you have the responsibility. Your number one responsibility is to make sure you're saying everyone's name correctly. Cincinnati play-by-play Dan Horde on the radio, who will join us coming up as well later, tweeted at you and said, hey, good luck to us, right, this week. So do you need any reinforcement on any names for BYU?
I'd like to think, and I'm shocked. I am shocked that I've heard complaints about some of the fine folks that have come through Provo and called some BYU games, but I'm shocked that they've had as much issues. The phonetics are there for a reason. This is why we get paid the money that we get paid, is to do exactly this. Make sure we got the names right.
Preach, brother.
Sure I'll get it. I'm sure I'll get it if on Twitter if I'm not making it work. And I swear to you, I'm not going to call him Tanner Magnum. Okay? If nothing else, I promise I will say Tanner Mangum because that's the guy's name. And it's shocking to me that that's been an issue.
That's been a plague, man. Like a plague.
He's been called Connor and Tyler. And then, the Magnum thing. I mean, it's out of control. Adam Amin of ESPN joining us on BYU Sports Nation. You're calling the actual game, so we might as well talk about what's going to happen on the field.
Yeah, sure. Why not? I mean, if you want. All right.
I think we have time.
What sticks out about the matchup tonight for you?
High scoring. I mean, this game has a potential to be a very high-scoring affair. We saw what BYU did last week when kind of pushed to the brink when they needed to get into high-octane mode, and I understand that they're ranked 79th in scoring offense and 63rd in total offense in the country right now, but obviously they can put up the points. Obviously, the height of the receivers sticks out against what's a physical Cincinnati defense, certainly a Cincinnati defense that's trying to be a little bit more physical. And then on the opposite side, Cincinnati is legitimately one of the best offenses in college football. If nothing else, by sheer volume alone, they're putting up numbers and points. They're high octane. They're high risk and high reward. They take a lot of shots downfield, very vertical offense with a very, much like BYU, a very deep wide receiver core. But they're high risk as well because there's a lot of turnovers. You're going to turn the ball over, and BYU has been very good in the early part of the season in terms of takeaways. And then the tempo of the game is something that could stick out because Cincinnati, I know a couple of weeks ago when they beat Miami, they ran only 67 plays. A week before that game, they ran 100 against Memphis because Memphis kind of pushed them to the limit. So about 86, 87 plays a game for Cincinnati. I don't know if we're going to see that tempo or the normal type of tempo from BYU with Tanner's hamstring issue right now. It may force BYU to play a little bit slower. But I think offensively, these are two very, very similar teams in terms of pace, in terms of ability, in terms of big play potential.
I love the matchup because of all those things that you said. And it's interesting to me that Cincinnati has done a great job of giving their quarterbacks time to throw. Only 6 sacks allowed. To me, one of the keys will be BYU trying to get pressure on whatever quarterback it is, which brings us to this. Who are we going to see at starting quarterback? We don't even know yet whether it's Gunnar Kiel or Hayden Moore.
My guess, if I had to lean hard, and Tommy Tuberville was not going to give us the full-on answer, but if I had to lean hard, I got to think it's got to be Hayden Moore for these reasons. The last 2 weeks, this kid has put up incredible numbers. Even though his team suffered a loss against Memphis 3 weeks ago, it was a great game, and he shows up. He puts up a school record in terms of offensive numbers. I mean, he comes off the bench in what is his first meaningful game, and puts up 557 passing yards. That's insane to think that he was able to do something like that, and then to be as poised as he was in his first career start, to take on a storied program like Miami that has been very competitive. You guys saw it last week against Florida State. They took the Seminoles down to the wire last week. That's a competitive team, and to beat Miami 2 weeks ago is very impressive. My guess is because Gunnar Kiel only had a couple of practices. That's the big thing. I think a lot of people want Gunnar Kiel to not lose his job because he got hurt. I know Tommy Tuberville said a couple of weeks back, he's not going to lose his job. You shouldn't lose your job just because of injury as a starter. But he's only been back for a couple of practices. And if I had to lean towards something, I would think that might shy Cincinnati away from using Gunnar Kiel right away, or at least as a starter, because the guy just got cleared from his neck injury on Sunday. It's a short week. So if I had to guess based on those elements, I would think it has to be Hayden Moore. But we're going to find out when you guys find out a few minutes before kickoff tonight.
Adam, I want to point out that right now in LaVell Edwards Stadium, your picture is blasted out across both of the Jumbotron
is it
screens.
Good? Is it nice? Do I look okay?
It's what the media zone,
ESPN
ESPN.
look all right? Does the hair look okay?
Yeah,
These are important questions, guys.
Yeah. It looks amazing.
You're looking sharp.
It looks like Cincinnati's offense.
Listen, you tweeted out a picture of Jeremy and I
like.
on the side of the big blue HG truck that we have. Your face
you
is
guys
like
got a buzz. You guys got your names plastered on the truck. This is incredible.
Your face
I feel
is
honored
like
to even be in the same presence as you guys.
I'm
right
telling
now.
you, your face right now is like 6 times bigger than what we have on the side of the truck.
Actually, I think that's actually up to scale based on ego and narcissism and things like that. I think that actually might beat a scale. So.
Adam Amin with us on BYU Sports Nation.
Adam, who's a better team right now in your opinion, Cincinnati or BYU?
I think it's a great question, and if fully healthy, I think BYU's better because of their defense. Cincinnati is a really good offensive team, and they're going to win games, but they're going to win them in kind of scary fashion. Slugfests aren't the easiest games to coach. They're not the easiest games to go through as a player because you're running a lot of plays. It's easy to get tired in the fourth quarter, and when your defense just hasn't shown the ability just yet to get sacks, to get takeaways, to get explosive plays. And they're banged up, too, on defense. Let's not forget they're missing some key guys, especially in the back end. So right now, when fully healthy, I would take BYU because I think Mangum is phenomenal when he's fully healthy because he adds such a dynamic. It's not Taysom Hill. I understand that. It's not the dynamic running ability, but he's a dynamic offensive player with as good of an arm as you'll see in college football right now. The receivers are so deep. I think Algie Brown is finding his footing. The offensive line is a veteran line, even though they have had some issues at times this year. But all of that combined isn't going to be enough when you're not healthy. So it's hard for me to lean towards BYU right now, but I will still take them even with a not 100% Tanner Mangum because I think their defense is just too good. The fact that you guys are getting healthy at the right time on defense, and Bronco Mendenhall said after the Michigan loss, we have to reframe our season. Let's see who we are the next 8 games. Well, you're 2-0 so far, and that was without some of your better defensive players. Now I look at this defense, and I see Tui Loma back in the front. I see Fred Warner playing really well. Had a great game last week against East Carolina. Longy should be back tonight, back in that Mike linebacker spot. You're able to move Micah Hanneman back to corner after he had to leave last week's game. Nakua now gets to play his normal free safety spot. So all of those elements combined, I still think BYU is a better team. And at 100%, all things given equal, BYU absolutely because of their defensive dynamic as well.
Adam, great to have you on the show, man. Have a great call tonight on ESPN. You can listen to Adam and his team, 8 p.m. Eastern, 6 Mountain Time. We'll talk to you again soon, man.
Great to be on with you guys. Spencer, Jeremy, thanks so much.
Thanks, Adam.